I think it's time after 20 years to give back and to say, now's the time to actually make a difference and say, how can we help?
When the boss, George Mazarakis, talked about starting the Making a Difference campaign with the aim of raising 20 million rand,
$1 million for each year we'd been on air,
we thought the initials were right, MAD, he was mad.
All we're doing is simply acting as facilitators to help those hospitals deliver.
But what we didn't account for was the generosity of the corporate sector in this country. They've really come to the party in a huge way.
In the next 7 weeks, Carte Blanche will profile the pediatric surgical units of 5 state hospitals, where the right medical equipment can save a life. We'll focus on 2 child welfare organizations who are trying to deal with the onslaught of abandoned and orphaned children. We will see the conditions they work under, what they need most, and we will ask our viewers and companies to help.
well, here we are 2 years later, and the Making a Difference campaign is sitting at
72.5 million rand.
It is unbelievable. When we originally set the 20 million rand goal, a lot of us thought we'd lost our minds, including me. I really didn't think it would happen. And now we find ourselves at a number of 72.5 million.
When we launched the campaign 2 years ago, we were faced with public hospitals in dire need.
This is not a scene from ER.
It's a tough call every day. I can see it every minute.
For 30 years that I've been in hospital, this ICU is still the same.
Soweto's Chris Hani Baragwanath treats over 100,000 children a year.
You can see we've got very little space.
When we first walked its wards, the hospital was labouring under an overwhelming demand for care. Not enough space, not enough ICU beds, and a neonatal theatre that was falling apart. This neonatal theatre was built in the 70s. It's in serious need of an upgrade.
But all this is very old equipment. It's not really ideal. Some of these may actually just slide off because they are so old and worn off.
The need at Chris Hani Baragwanath was enormous.
The greatest challenge facing the campaign was how to allocate funds. Doctors here at Bara had expressed a wish for a recovery room crucial to monitor babies directly after operations. So, to plough money into the already overstretched ICU or to build an entirely new neonatal complex.
The decision: a complete makeover to turn a dilapidated theatre and under-resourced space around it into a world-class neonatal centre.
We didn't have many massive logistical administrative problems. I think everyone saw where we were going and really worked very, very well together. And I think it's given us hope that we can really continue this type of endeavour in the future.
The driving force behind the 4.2 million rand renovation was MTN.
For MTN Foundation, the good thing is that we're making a difference in the lives of the little one. So handing over a unit like this is actually saying that we want to make sure that we reduce the mortality of the little ones.
The newly renovated space boasts a state-of-the-art operating theatre.
You know, we've got brand new knives and forks, brand new operating instruments to actually perform the operation.
A lot of the equipment that we've been introducing into these hospitals is way ahead of what they were expecting to be using at this time. I mean, in some cases we were told that they were leapfrogging 10 years ahead in terms of what government would have given them.
It simply says the private sector care about the work we do in the public health institutions, but not only that, the private sector also wants to see a quality of health care improving even for ordinary citizens who do not have the choices that many have.
When there is an organization that actually takes to heart to help us because they understand our needs more, that is a tremendous boost for the morale of the doctors, no doubt.
For the first time, doctors at Chris Hani Baragwanath can cocoon babies just out of surgery in a dedicated recovery room and mini ICU.
What difference does it make to your job as a doctor in this environment?
Oh, there's a tremendous amount of difference. Okay, this is such a sophisticated things. For instance, now you see these newborn babies that we have here. Now we have these apnea monitors, where if the baby stops breathing for some reason, immediately an alarm sounds. So all these little gadgets, let's call it, make a tremendous amount of difference for our work.
Helping to make that difference are GlaxoSmithKline with an 800,000 Rand donation.
It's a small contribution, but it's making a huge difference and a huge impact. And we're just so proud and we're so privileged to be a part of it.
We wanted to donate a sum of money to ensure the health of little children.
Estee Lauder added R500,000 to the mix, their biggest ever single donation in Africa. Someone who is taking his corporate donation personally is Ravi Pillay, Nestlé's Corporate Affairs Director.
Hello, how are you?
He's visiting the Sebokeng home of one of the first children to benefit from their 3.2 million Rand donation, 2-year-old Bushle.
Thank you.
Gratifying and an extremely warm feeling to be part of a company that actually has made this commitment to give children a fair chance in life.
Bushle was just a day old when her mother Sophie realized that there was something seriously wrong. The newborn was gasping for air and couldn't eat.
But we found that she has a problem because the doctors at the Bara, they said her esophagus is joined to the lungs.
Up until the 60s, it was a fatal condition, but surgeons managed to save Bushle's life with corrective surgery. Still, she couldn't swallow.
She doesn't want to do anything with food. She would close her eyes and you can see that, no, I can't do it anymore. And then we stopped it.
To keep her daughter alive, Sophie has to feed her through a tube.
At home, I'm trying to give her the solid foods. Everything that I'm eating, I'm crushing it so that it goes through the syringe.
To open her esophagus, Bushle is undergoing a series of operations at the new digital theatre donated by Nestlé.
Because one of the risks of this procedure is that you can actually perforate the esophagus.
Performing the high-risk surgery is Dr. Jerome Loveland.
And so it needs to be done completely safely. And once again, in fact, these dilators are a completely new set of dilators that we were donated through the campaign, and in this specific case, Nestlé.
We have sponsored a digital hanging theatre which offers the opportunity for pediatric surgeons to perform very delicate keyhole type surgery on babies.
So, I mean, I think every case that we do these days, every single case has been impacted on by the sort of revival of the theatre complex. That went absolutely fine, and you should be able to start feeding her well again tomorrow.
The digital operating theatre has revolutionized pediatric surgery at Chris Hani Baragwanath.
The children that are treated in this theatre, without overstating it, probably have better access to first world technology than other children in the city.
You feel like when you are working here and I go to another theatre, it's like I'm in a different world. Working in here is like working somewhere else. It's a world-class equipment we have, and thank you very much, guys.
The bulk of the equipment we've given is for pediatric surgery.
Suspended from the ceiling is the latest in high-definition technology.
At Charlotte Makeke Hospital, formerly known as Johannesburg General, so that was a significant contribution. But a lot of the other equipment has related to, for example, high care and intensive care units.
Like the 6 neonatal ICU beds which were donated to Universitas Hospital in Bloemfontein at a cost of over 6 million Rand.
Pediatric Registrar Dr. Rihanna Voigt says that made a huge difference.
Luckily, we now have the correct equipment that we can act. Once they are in theatre, we can intubate, we can bring them here. The outcome is much better. So in his case, it had a very, very good outcome.
Some of the projects have been absolutely remarkable and they stand out. For example, the Kimberley Hospital complex, where we gave a pediatric ICU. There had never been a fully fledged pediatric ICU in Kimberley.
New equipment was everywhere, and 4 brand new monitors would mean the Dr. Uester no longer needed to make difficult choices about which patient was more deserving.
Every cent of the donated money that has come in has been spent on what it was intended for. None of it has gone to administration. And that, I think, is a unique aspect of this project.
The campaign's patron, Carolina Andropoulos, gives her time and energy free of charge to bring sponsors on board and make sure their money is well spent. Of the 72 million rand donated, the bulk has been spent. More than 15 million in sponsored equipment has gone to the Charlotte Baxter Johannesburg Academic Hospital. Chris Hani Baragwanath has received just under 12 million rand in equipment. The Steve Biko Academic Hospital almost 2 million. Over 5 million rand was spent on a new ICU at Kimberley Hospital. In excess of 6 million rand was spent at Universitas Hospital in Bloemfontein. King Edward VIII Hospital in Durban has received 1.8 million rands worth of equipment that's already in use. A further 20 million rand has been donated to build a brand new pediatric unit. Child welfare organizations have received more than 3 million rand in donations.
A lot of the corporates that gave us donations have been so impressed by the way that the donations have been spent and properly accounted for, and they've been to the handovers and seen the equipment in situ, changing lives, saving lives in most cases. So they've come back and given more.
Those sponsors include Extrata, Discovery Health, Hollard and Sassel. Donating over 4 million rand for a second time is the IDC.
Since you came on board, what have your feelings been as you've seen equipment being delivered to hospital after hospital and different wards being opened up?
Well, there's been a great sense of saying we have indeed made a difference, where we've seen now people's lives being made much easier.
The IDC has spent over 8 million rand on life-saving trauma equipment in the form of 2 specialized X-ray machines.
We put the patient on, as soon as he comes in with his trolley, we put him on the Lodox trolley.
Sounds simple, but this South African invention makes the difference between life and death.
It means that our patients are investigated straight away as soon as they hit resus. It takes about 1 minute to have a whole body X-ray. And then we can proceed with the resuscitation very, very fast. So from the practical point of view, because it cuts down on the resuscitation time, we can say that it can save lives.
Because I think as the MEC had said, people don't have a choice, some people. And what we're doing with this, we're giving them an opportunity to get access to state-of-the-art technology as far as health is concerned.
I can honestly say that we've got everything that we need. And that we're not going to need to procure new equipment for probably many years to come.
We believe there's a great deal more to do, and we have some very big capital projects to still execute, the most notable of which being the hospital in Durban at King Edward VIII. Carte Blanche is committed to this project, and we're committed to it for at least 5 years from the day of inception. I don't see how we can possibly step away from it, because we've made a contribution that needs to be nursed.